Help, I'm pushing up,
Rotate.
Bruno, they're rotating back, they're rotating back.
They're gonna go, just rotate, guys, just rotate, give it up, just give it up. Nice, rotate.
Greetings and welcome to episode number 19 of the Rotation with Z-Hack. And this one feels a little bit more special than all the others, and I think you guys know why. It is because we are back on LAN. Woo! Everyone in the chat, in the YouTube chat, land. Yeah, you're trolling at this point. We all know it's LAN, and I'm excited for the Call of Duty League to finally be back there. We have to break down that, what it means to the league, what it means for the major, and much more. There was a lot that happened in the past week, some heavy-hitting topics that I didn't get to touch on in episode number 18. We're going to break all that down and more, preview the major. So much to get into today, and I have one thing to ask you and to ask Murph. Are you guys ready to dive in to the Rotation with Z-Hack today? I think the only answer is yes. Let's go and hop right into some First Blood. So I talked about it in my tease. The excitement is here for myself, and I think it should be for everybody. LAN is back for the Stage 4 Major. This is incredible. We finally get what all the players, all the fans, everyone has been asking for the past year. It's been close to over a year, back since MW was the last time that we were on LAN, and everyone said that the jokes go out from Hector saying, yo, the Minnesota Rocker home series, that gave people COVID, because that was like almost, I think it was the last one or one close to that, and then we'd been online for COD ever since. So we're finally back. The competition is there, but we got to slow our roll a little bit, and I'm excited, but I can't get too excited. So LAN is there. The competition, the players will be in person competing on that environment, okay? There's no excuses anymore, in my opinion. As far as the production side of this and everything, no casters, no fans, none of that good stuff, which is kind of sad, but baby steps, all right? We're getting back there slowly but surely, getting more comfortable. You got to realize we're still coming out of a pandemic, okay? You got to be cautious with these things. It's not like COVID is just, boom, gone off into the dust. It still exists, okay? But we're getting there. We're trying to reach herd immunity in certain places, get all that done, make it more comfortable, and have a safe environment for everyone to have an event. So just the players, that's it. They're the only ones in the venue as of now. The casters will be casting from home, and Miles was excited about that. He said, I made it by. I didn't want to get out of my pajamas anymore anyways. So no casters, no fans, and that is going to be tough. It's going to be a major environment, but it will still matter. Trust me. A lot of people have been saying the environment won't be as crazy on LAN and it won't be as normal. That's not what the players are looking for. Yes, the environment is part of it. Players like the environment of LAN, of a crowd, of an atmosphere, getting hype after they pick up a three-piece, and you can just hear the muffled noise rattling through your headset after you do something insane and have the crowd on your side. That gives you goosebumps. You're in your zone while you're playing, and you continue to pop off. Yes, people thrive and enjoy that environment, but a majority of what the professional players are looking for out of LAN is the equal competition. No ping. There's no, you get this server, I get this server, and then we're going to ban one of each, and then we'll find one in the middle. There's no Atlanta FaZe getting a server that they shouldn't be playing on against Chicago to where Chicago's at like 90 ping. None of that. Everything is an equal playing field. No input lag, no nothing. If you're going to be shooting beams, you're going to be doing it on LAN. That's the spot where it'll be. And I think it can make or break some teams because let's be honest, in the recent history, when we've had stuff back all the way to the MLG days, CWL, there were teams who succeeded on LAN more than they did online. Optic are one of them, plain and simple. I don't know if this roster is really because they haven't had a chance to compete on LAN entirely, but back in the day, you would see Formal, Karma, Scump, and Crim struggle online sometimes, maybe not win a 2K, not have the craziest thing happen for them as far as winning, and then they get to LAN and absolutely dominate people. So it makes a difference. In certain players, they just feel more comfortable there. You're right there with your teammates the entire way. You get to have hype within each other. You get to talk smack and stare the opponents down their eyes. Part of the environment is there, but a majority of why we're excited for LAN is no excuses. as I take a vigorous sip out of my espresso. That's just straight espresso, by the way. No milk, no nothing in there. That's literally just espresso on ice, 3 shots, because let me tell you, I need a little something to get me going. But that's it. There will be teams that succeed and excel on LAN more than others. Plain and simple. And it's going to be really hard to make predictions for this major tournament, and we will get to see everything that happens and comes from it. Regardless of any of that, whatever you think, the possibility of a certain team getting upset, it is good to have LAN back. I don't think there's been any announcements about it being permanent as far as home series and things of that nature, competing in a central location for the league, or if it's just going to be majors and champs, and if we'll ever get fans. But I think, why not have it be a season-long thing? That's what the plan is from the jump, is to have LAN be a season-long format to be played in. These guys don't like playing online. They've said it, they've stated it, they've complained about it each and every week, and now they finally have the opportunity to be back on LAN. Let's try and be consistent with it. What do you think? I'm pretty sure I would want that. I think these guys do too. Before we move along, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter at ZHack16 and share the rotation with ZHack with all of your friends, family, Call of Duty fans, because we're hype. We're growing exponentially week by week as we take over the Call of Duty scene, and I love to have you guys be here as a part of it. So let's continue to keep that rolling. Let's keep the show rolling as well and get into the Barracks news and notes from around the league. To start this off, I want to visit a topic that I didn't get to touch on last week because it happened after I recorded episode 18, and then I was just waiting for the week span so I could put a whole show together, not just make an individual video about this, but have it be part of the rotation. So it may be like beating a dead horse, but I can also have some hindsight and react to things now other than what you guys would have been able to do. So weeks ago, it all started with Huke. He gets benched by Dallas, dropped by Dallas. LA Thieves pick him up. TJ goes to the bench. Huke goes to the starting lineup. They continue to struggle. Then Huke gets benched, and then he just seems to disappear. Well, if you missed it, this past week, Huke made a video, about a 45-minute video, just like this. Him talking to us, from him through camera, opening up about everything, speaking his truth, telling his story, and explaining to us what really is and was going on. So first of all, we're not going to be toxic about this because so many of you in the Call of Duty League are, and that's just not how it's going to fly. That's not how it's going to roll on this topic in particular, okay? My first reaction to this, and I sat down, I didn't want to formulate an opinion. I didn't want to tweet anything by just seeing what the masses had to say and watching the community tweet about what happened. So I listened and watched the entire 45 or whatever it was minute video of Huke sitting down, and let me tell you, hats off to you, buddy. It takes a lot of courage, a lot of strength, and mental fortitude to do what he did and come forward and talk about all the things and demons he has been fighting for years now, it sounds like, and explain that, lay it on the line, and come through to tell everyone. Because he didn't have to even release that. He had plenty of options for that to never come out. And he could have just swept it under the rug, been back on a team eventually. No one knows what happened. Instead, he sat down and recorded the video. Then from there, in post-production, he could have been like, yeah, I don't really want to release this. He went past that, and then he went onto YouTube. He clicked post, had another chance while it was rendering to say, you know what, I don't think I'm going to make this go live or make this go public. He spoke because he wanted to, and he felt like other people needed to hear this. I want to break this down in a couple different ways, and I know a lot of you guys want to talk about the root of the problem and the deepest part of the video, but there was a lot more to focus on than just the substance abuse topic that Huke talked about. So first of all, I bring it back. I talked about this a few episodes ago on the rotation with ZHack, but throughout the entirety of the world, no matter what your profession is, no matter what you do for a living, if you don't think it exists, get yourself tuned up, because mental health is a major problem and can be for anybody in the world. Don't get me wrong. You can be happy right now, living your life, enjoying everything, and then out of nowhere, stuff can happen. A sequence of events can break you down. Then all of a sudden, you fall into a state of depression. Mental health is a serious thing, and think about it from a professional video gamer's perspective. You're relied upon for your performance to be great at what you do, and you have to practice to get there every single day. And this is what you have as your surroundings for some of these guys. It's an empty apartment, dead quiet. It's you, yourself, your setup, and you're just trying to perfect your craft. You got your teammates, sure, but you're talking online to them. That can get incredibly lonely, and it can weigh on you. And you don't know if it's what you want to be doing, and if you are struggling and you aren't great at it, and you have the toxic Call of Duty community telling you suck, yeah, maybe you're going to have some problems with mental health. This is a performance-based league. 12, 24, 36, 48. 12 teams, 4 players a team in the Call of Duty League. There are a lot of people running and gunning for jobs. It's performance-based. If you struggle, you get dropped. You're not playing, you're not making money anymore off of what you've been grinding for months on end. That can weigh on you and can tax you mentally. Methods has talked about it. We all love Zinni, and we all know him as the happy-go-lucky guy who's always cracking jokes. He's the life of the party. He's even come out and talked about mental health and said, I really struggle sometimes. It's incredibly hard for some of the things that I go through. And while I put a brave face on, deep down, I struggle. So Huke is incredibly strong to come out and shed light to this situation, because that's one of the things he talked about within the gaming community is he didn't feel good about himself. Yes, part of that came from the drugs, and I'll talk about that in a second. Yes, part of it came from that. Other parts came from the career. Other parts could come from disappointment, from fans, from community, anyone saying their things, people talking behind his back, he stated, like a bunch of high schoolers having gossip sessions. It all can weigh on you. So I want to take this moment to tell you guys that don't put a negative stigma on mental health. It doesn't make you weak if you're going through depression. It doesn't make you less of a person if you're not feeling well mentally and on the inside, and you can't quite put your finger on the problem and you don't know what's going wrong. I myself fell under that category for a long time. When I was in high school, early college, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, I thought there's no such thing as depression. I was living my life. I was having fun, hanging with friends, doing my thing, partying here, going to school, getting straight A's, playing video games, broadcasting, doing play-by-play for sports. I was having a great time. I didn't think that mental health problems and depression existed. I didn't think that it was a real thing until it happened to me. Stuff can happen and come out of nowhere, and your mind, it's a crazy place. The human brain is so complex, and little things can just add up and weigh on each other, the stresses of life, and they can cause those problems. So don't put a negative stigma on it. Instead of making fun of somebody and saying, you're depressed, what a loser, why are you sad? Reach out to them and talk to them. Check in on them, have a conversation with them, and see what's going on. Because the way that it happens for a lot of people, the way that it happened to me is through a career. I didn't know what I wanted to do, not in a really happy place, through college, not in the same spot in life that I would want to be or a lot of other people are being at in the current time. And it hurts you. You feel like you're a failure. You feel like you're doing something wrong. You're not meeting expectations to get to the spot and the place that you want to be. And that's how I found the rotation with Z-Hack. Like, this is an outlet for me because this is what I want to do. And some days I still do struggle, but this podcast is here to help me. Like, I get to talk about what I love, pursue it, and hopefully one day be able to make a living, make money off of this and doing what I love and what I enjoy. So, completely unrelated, myself going on a rant, if anyone even wants to hear from me. I don't know where that came from. I just, when Huke talked about it, it made me think that some of you guys need to hear this, and that's what we're breaking down right now. So first of all, he opened up on the place he is currently and has been And the next spot I'm going to go is he talked about how he got there. Adderall has been abused throughout not only Call of Duty, but all of esports for a lot of time. And a lot of these pros know about this situation. Organizations know about this situation, and not a lot is done to combat it. There were guys who talked about it way back in the day when Ghosts was a thing. Taking prescription Adderall to stay ultra focused, be able to grind and be your best for 12, 14, 16 hours a day during tournaments, you're taking it, and then it's technically a banned substance, but we're not drug testing for any of it. It's dangerous. I know you guys, a lot of you say anyone could go out, get a prescription, and then they could use it. But that's not the point. Like, using and abusing are two completely different things. I myself have never taken Adderall. The only pills I've ever taken is after I've gotten shoulder surgeries, I've gotten oxycodone for the pain. That's it. That's all I've ever taken, never got addicted. But this is something that can happen. Like, they do this and rely on it in their performance-based job while they're weighing that, plus mental health over here. It causes a lot of stress, makes them feel like they're not going to be as good if they're not doing it, and then it can cause a substance abuse problem not only with Adderall, but with other things down the line. So Huke opened up and basically said, I didn't feel myself. I was abusing Adderall. I used it in our championship run with the Dallas Empire. And after we won that championship, it was great, but I feel like I didn't win. He didn't feel the way you should when you win a world championship. At the height of the competition, the moment you are trying to achieve and the goal that you made at the beginning of the year as a team, you attain that goal and you don't feel the joy that you should. Think about that for a second. And how hard that must be to feel that. Because your personality and your body is being controlled and subdued by another substance that you're taking to perform and get to that point. He didn't feel good about himself, and he said it. For him to open up about that and admitting to taking it during a championship run when it's technically illegal and he won a championship on it, that takes guts from Huke to come out and say this. It comes down to being a big problem. And guys have spoken on it. Akes have spoken on it. Zuma have spoken on it. Other pros have said things. And they want change to be had and be heard by the league. And we don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to leave the situation at that. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, lawyers, this, that, players. There's no players union or anything. And that's something maybe these guys are going to form within the near future as this league continues to grow and grow. But basically, a lot of guys I've seen, like Akes, have said we don't have a drug test or anything implemented to see if guys are using it and abusing it. And that makes it hard on the players in the league to get transparency with one another, and we don't know what's happening as fans behind the scenes. It's not setting a good example for other people because you do that. Let's be honest. Plain and simple, you do what you look up to your idols and see that they do. You see Tom Brady working out 4 times a day and you're a high school quarterback and he's taking electrolytes, this, that, and the third. What are you going to do? Oh my gosh. If I want to be as great as Tom Brady and he's my idol, I'm going to work out 4 times a day. I'm going to throw 100 passes. Then I'm going to throw another 100 passes. Then I'm going to throw another 100 passes. So if some of these kids growing up who want to be pros hear and catch wind of this stuff, saying, oh, Huke is on Adderall. Whoa, and he's a pro and it's making him good. Mom, Dad, what's Adderall? I think I need to get my hands on some of that. It could just go in circles. We don't know what's going to happen. So those were the 2 things, and that's a serious topic that we still don't know what the answer is going to be. And I'm not going to weigh in on what I think should or is going to happen because it's not my place. Do I think that there should be? Well, I guess I said I'm not going to weigh in, and then what am I doing? Turn it in a circle, and I'm weighing in on it. There should be stuff put in place to combat this. Plain and simple. That's what I'll leave it at. The third part, which really was mind-boggling to me, and it almost made this like a documentary series watching this video from Huke, is when he opened up about what kind of went down in the past year from his team to drop to new team, and it was just mind-blown. Basically, the way that Huke laid it out was they win the championship. Great. Stage 1 is going good. They lose to FaZe in the first major. You know, they continue to do well. They continue to play throughout the year. And then things kind of start to drop a little bit. And we didn't really know what happened. And Huke said there wasn't much communication from his teammates, and that's what he's always said. The one thing he wants in teammates is for them to want it as much as he does and to have an open line of communication. No backstabbing, no beating around the bush, just straight up. If there's a problem, I'm not performing well, whatever it may be, you think I need to do something, open up and I'll fix it. So he basically came off, and the timeline of events, I'm going to get all mixed up, but he basically said that he got word from like his brother or his friend, like, yo, there's rumors you're getting dropped, and then he addressed it and confronted guys and said, yo, what's going on? They're like, oh no, it's not going to happen. Then they kept scrimming, and then they talked about his performance, and they were just, the Dallas Empire, just the players, he didn't name names, but just kept coming at him. And then they said, oh, you're too happy and too energized and you're not serious enough. What? I would want someone on my team like, let's go, guys, let's get it. Nice kill, bro. Like, you want that on your team to get that gas. To say he's too happy? That's a head scratcher for me. And then from there, it was just kind of a blind drop from Dallas. No one even told him anything. No one told him until 10, 15, 20 minutes before the announcement went out. That's confusing. So then he gets dropped there. And from that point, it sounds like a lot of rumors were spread throughout the Call of Duty League on Huke's name. Dirt was thrown on it. Then he gets signed by the Thieves, and then some of the Thieves start to believe in these rumors. And that's when he talked about it, and I agree with the point that Huke is making. Because let me break it down like this. He said, gossip, slander, what are we doing? Talking behind my back about me as a person instead of asking me if this is true? What kind of sense does that make? People were spreading rumors about Huke. This isn't high school. But I'll call timeout. Because I understand. Some of these pros, look at some of these rookies and young guns. They're 18, 19, 20, 21. You can't expect these guys to be fully matured at this point in their lives. But the other problem is, you're professionals. This is a multi-million-dollar league, and eventually, in my opinion, will become a multi-billion-dollar league, and esports already are a multi-billion-dollar industry. And we need to act like consummate professionals. And when you have guys in a Discord spreading rumors saying you take psychedelics behind your back and you're a weird hippie loser, what are we doing? Like, we're contracted by the Call of Duty League, making 6 figures at least for their season contract to play professional Call of Duty. And we're acting like we're at the lunch table in high school and Huke is in 4th period English. And we're talking behind his back. It makes no sense to me. That's my reaction from what I saw with everything from the Huke video, and I hope from here on out a situation like this doesn't happen with him again and doesn't happen with anyone around the league again. I think him shedding light to all this can open people up and see, oh yeah, maybe we shouldn't have been talking like that. And the next guy down the line, we can treat them better and ask straight up. Huke is back on a starting roster now. Hopefully, this will change what goes on and everything will be back to normal for him. At the end of the day, though, my reaction to all of this is I'm really happy that Huke came out, made this video, and told his story to everyone because it takes courage. And I'm really proud of the kid. Whatever it means to him, he doesn't care. He doesn't know who I am. He's never seen anything, never heard anything from me. But for what it's worth, it meant a lot for me to hear, to see someone open up who's going through some stuff, and to tell his story. So shout out to Huke, and I think a lot of people can learn from the young man that you are and the kind of person that you are and the professional that you hold yourself to be. Chin up. I hope you perform well for the rest of the season and throughout the rest of your career. That's my reaction to everything that happened there. Now we have some Call of Duty to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. So buckle up, take a sip of your espresso, and let's rock and roll. We are in the segment called the Barracks News and Notes from around the league. And man, oh man, do we have some news. The New York Subliners are not going to be the roster that they've been all year long for the Stage 4 Major. Asim will not be playing for NYSL, and it was announced today that Decimate will play in place of him. There were visa issues is the preliminary guess from all the news sources, Decerto, BreakingPoint.gg, Tactical Rab, you name the person. That's what the rumor is that there were visa and immigration issues with Asim restricting him from being on LAN and playing in this tournament. That's a bomb, guys. This is a top 4 team losing one of their players. It's going to change a lot. And I feel bad for Asim and the New York Subliners and everybody involved with what's going on. Because the visa issues was one thing, but as we know, there's a lot of personal stuff that happened to Asim this year, and he held his chin up stronger than anybody I have seen with what happened to him. He was doubted. He wasn't on a roster, got a shot on a team, had fans criticizing him for his performance. His uncle and I think one of his grandparents passed away in the same week, and he came out and still played in a Call of Duty League match. The kid has been through hell this year, and he has so much passion and still wants to compete. I feel so bad that he's been robbed of this opportunity, but I know he'll come back even stronger and he'll be back. I really wanted to see Asim perform because on LAN, the kid is a beast, and in a situation like a major, you want your team to be your best with all your guys who you've been scrimming, practicing, playing matches with, and NYSL are just being robbed of that opportunity. And quite frankly, it hurts their stock, in my opinion. So they pick up Decimate. That was announced earlier today, and there was a lot of confusion with what was going on because it was a mad scramble to try and get somebody on the roster for the Stage 4 Major. I saw Saints had been rumored, and then Clayster said they asked Decimate. He said no, but now Decimate is on the team, and it's just a whirlwind of emotions and everything that happened. So earlier in the year, Decimate stayed for a quick cup of coffee with the Seattle Surge. I think he played like 2 matches with them. Ended up with a .91 KD, so nothing extremely special. Search and Destroy, he kind of made some moments happen there, but in the hard point, a .93 from Decimate. Then you head over to SND. He didn't play terrible. He had a positive KD in SND. That was the one spot he shined with a 1.21. But then Control, he really struggled with the .78. And I can't blame the situation. Listen, for Decimate, he's an incredible talent. He's a great player. Everybody knows that. He got brought up onto the worst team in the league in the Seattle Surge, thrown into the blender. You get to scrim and practice a couple days, then you're playing league matches. That's a tough spot to be in. Now, this could be a different story. You're coming to NYSL, who before and currently are, prior to playing matches, a top 4 team in the league. It's FaZe, it's Ultra, it's NYSL, and then there's a spot. That 4 spot, you could throw a couple different teams in there. I think Optic, I think Minnesota, I think Mutineers. Any of them are in the conversation. But you throw him on a team that has been performing extremely well all season long. They're in the top of the leaderboard, just behind FaZe and then maybe Ultra. I'll have to check my facts on that for overall season standings. But regardless, they're one of the best teams. So you're coming onto that roster with a guy like Clayster who does nothing but lead and win rings. The guy wins rings. Like, that is what Clayster will go down in history as. He can take any roster. He can take rookies. He can take young guns. He can take irresponsible players and immature guys, make them mature, make them great, and win them a championship. It's mind-boggling the amount of leadership that is in Clayster's heart. I can't believe it sometimes. So that is where Decimate comes to. It'll be really interesting to see what happens with NYSL. I personally think it hurts them, though. Like, you don't have the same roster. You're going to LAN. Things are going to be a little bit different. He really, in my opinion, is going to have to step in and be a role player. Like he's doing with Hydra there. Let Hydra fry. Let Mac fry because he has been on a burner lately. And then let Clayster lead. If he can step in and fit in a role that they ask him to be in, then that's great. But if he has to make a lot of big plays on his own, I don't know if that system is going to work well with NYSL, and it scares me if you're an NYSL fan because, in my opinion, their stock drops headed into this major, and it's a tough situation, a brutal one to watch. I hope it doesn't hurt them, but I think it will. Before we get into Stage 4 predictions, that's the biggest change. No other roster changes have been made. Everyone else is just looking to get to LAN and play this tournament. So speaking of that, it will affect people. Plain and simple. There are guys who on paper, on stats in the past, they perform better on LAN. Experience is a factor, and a lot of guys just don't have it. There are young guns in this league who haven't played a big tournament on LAN. This will be a different environment. Like I mentioned earlier, there are no fans, so it's not going to be as hype. But what you do have to realize, there's some people who are going to be nervous the first time playing on LAN because they never have before. And when you have Clayster staring over his monitor at you, screaming at you, that's going to be a tough environment to be in. So LAN will make its presence and take victims week in and week out throughout this Stage 4 major. I don't know particular guys who are going to struggle with it, but just watch out for the stat lines and remember what I say, that LAN, like being on it, it's going to affect some guys and make them better players, and some guys will struggle. It just happens. Happens every year. Plain and simple, when they get there, things can happen. So look for experience to thrive. Optic, obviously, those guys there, Scump and Formal. Look out for Octane. I don't know if that'll mean Seattle Surge are going to pop off. Scraps is a guy you might want to look out for. Some of the guys from the LA Thieves, I think Kenny and Slasher. Attach. There's a lot of pros. Havoc. A lot of pros who have been in this situation on LAN before, and that's their comfort zone. That's where they perform. But mark my words, listen to me and remember this. There will be some surprise performances, both in the positive and the negative side as we get to LAN. So without further ado, I know I've gone on for a little bit. We talked about LAN here and there. Let's get in to some predictions for the Stage 4 major, baby. Woo! We got the bracket up here. I had a bad week in Pick'em, guys. The LA Thieves home series, it was chalked for me. I think I had like 19 or 17 points. Yeah, look at this. So this right here, we all know I should have had 26 there because I had 2 perfect matches that I picked and the site didn't save my predictions. So I had 26, 26, and then 17. I got smoked in the Thieves home series. This is nuts. There's a lot to break down. We're going to start from the losers bracket though, okay? So let me get the losers bracket on the screen. We'll get the first match on the bottom there. I know I'm kind of in the way, but we'll see what's going to happen here. Let me move my camera real quick, guys. Then we can talk about all this stuff. All right. Look at that. The quick work out of your boy Z-Hack. Okay. So as we look at the bracket here, starting on the left side, the Seattle Surge versus the London Royal Ravens. We get back to LAN. Pierce, disgusting, back in World War II. LAN game. Octane, one of the best ARs of all time. A lot of his performances have come on LAN. Pristini, big LAN guy, classic, a veteran. Part of that Envy roster that was great. That's scary to me because on the other side, you have Paul X and Afro and a couple of guys who haven't had a big match on LAN. Oh man, I'm already stressed out. Because when you weigh in that factor, I'm going to give you guys my initial predictions on the rotation, but then I'm going to settle down. I'm not saving them. I'm not clicking them through. I'm going to give you guys my initial thoughts. This is one of those matches where being on LAN can make a difference. The Seattle Surge are god-awful. I don't know how they beat Optic last week, but they're just one of the worst teams in the league. I've compared them to the Cleveland Browns of 2017, 2014, whatever year they went 0-for. That is what the Seattle Surge have been, and that's their reputation in the Call of Duty League thus far. But we're back on LAN now. I don't know if it makes that big of a difference, but with the guys on London, Like some of them not being there before, I think it can cause issues. We'll start with a 3-2 in favor of Seattle, but I don't know. We might change that back. Then we go into a spicy matchup. LA Thieves, they're going to smoke the Gorillas. Mark my words. That's a confident one that I'm going to pull on. I know Silly and Cheen have been there before for LA, but I mean, gosh, Slasher, Kenny, TJ, Huke, come on. These guys are veterans. They've been there before. They're going to fry. They're going to come out strong. LA Thieves, sneaky team to possibly make a run. We'll move up now to the winner's bracket, and this is where more challenges occur. There's already 2 tough matches to pick from the loser's bracket and the winner's bracket, one of each. We start with the Subliners versus Rocker. What can Decimate do? What kind of talent? What kind of skill? What kind of factor is he going to play in this match for the Subliners? I think Minnesota could possibly take this match. Listen, Mac fried back in Modern Warfare. A lot of that season was online. But he has been on a heater lately. Clayster will know what he's doing. The veteran presence will be shown. Hydra will be a little nervous, and Sandy will be a little bit nervous. The LAN Effect is real in this match in and of itself. Attach is going to be comfortable. The youngest winning champion in Call of Duty history. The kid won when he was in high school. Like 16 years old or something like that. He will be comfortable there. Priesta will be comfortable there. Standy, I really don't know. And Major Maniac, he's been there before. I think ultimately the leadership from Clay, it comes over all this and they end up winning. So 3-2 Subliners over Minnesota Rocker. And this couldn't have shaped it. Maybe the Call of Duty gods blessed us on this next matchup because we know all the stuff that unfolded last week between Formal and Crim6. And would you look at this? Look at the winners round 1 matchup, not only between Optic and Empire, but we are on LAN. Formal and Crim6 are going to be in the same building. They're going to be looking at each other, and it's going to be an AR battle for the ages. You know these guys are both going to be trying to absolutely fry one another. There is bad blood, as Taylor Swift would say, because, baby, now we got bad blood. Between Formal and Crim6, talking about who should have been dropped back in BO3, talking about you didn't split your MVP money with the rest of the team like you promised. I would be surprised if a fist fight doesn't break out before or after the Dallas Empire Optic Chicago match, and we're going to have a Gears of War type vibe in the Call of Duty League. Security better be on property for this one because I think it's going to go down between Formal and Crim6. Who do you guys got? This isn't going to be a pay-per-view fight. This is going to be someone smack-talking across the stage after like a 3-0, 3-1, and then it's going to go down. We're going to have to hold each other back. I am picturing and envisioning a fight between Formal and Crim6 right now. I don't know if I'm going to get out of hand. I don't know if they're going to let the playing do the talking. But at the end of the day, this is exactly what we wanted as a storyline. Optic and Empire, round 1 on LAN. Wow. With the backstory of everything that happened last week. That's incredible. Optic, I think they get it done, man. I think it's going to be a battle between these two, though. Vivid has really been stepping into his own. I got to give the kid credit. He's been playing better and better since debuting with the Dallas Empire. You know, Shotzi and Illy are beasts, and Crim6 is going to be inspired. I think this one goes the distance, and Optic are going to come out on top. Oh, it's crazy. I'm so excited for that matchup. Moving forward, we'll stay up on the top of the bracket here real quick. Winners round 2. Just with what we have going on with the roster of NYSL, I think they get smoked by FaZe. Because FaZe, they're a team on LAN, like nothing's going to change them. Abizi and Simp are going to fry. Celium is going to just coat you. And then Arcides is going to come in clutch. Next... oh, that's going to be a tight one. Ultra versus Optic. I think this one could go the distance. And, man, This is another matchup where you have Insight and Cammy, who are guys who I don't know how frequently they've been on LAN, but there could be a little bit of inexperience there as opposed to what you see on the Optic Chicago side. I might have to revisit that match, but for now, 3-2 Toronto Ultra. They've just been looking really good, but Chicago, I mean, they're in form. This major, like with LAN, that's just a completely different variable. It makes it a lot harder to pick, and these next matches, you'll see it. I think Paris have kind of been finding their stride. Temp and Scraps have both been playing incredibly well. I think they send the Royal Ravens home 3-2. Right here, Florida Mutineers, they get the bye. Man, this matchup is going to be incredible. There's going to be a lot of 3-2s on my bracket, and I don't know if I can keep them there. I think the LA Thieves might pull off an upset here and end up beating the Florida Mutineers. Then we move on to elimination round 3. I have Dallas Empire 3-1 over the Paris Legion. I think they just, after the match against Optic, they'll step up. Then from this situation, I think the Minnesota Rocker, oh man, this is tight. Minnesota might lose 2 straight and get sent home. The S&D of LA have looked good, but I think Minnesota take it. Their control has just been really, really, really good and sound. So from there, we head into elimination round 4. I think Optic take it 3-1 over the Minnesota Rocker. Oh man, we might get to see them twice in one tournament. Because listen, you have to take into account there's a whole new player on New York. I think 3-2 Empire and the losers round 5, we get back into a beefy matchup between these two. I think it's the same story. I think it's greasy. I think Optic take it 3-2 again against Dallas. Up here, FaZe Ultra, I think LAN benefits FaZe. Like, they're the best team in the game. I think FaZe are just stellar. Then we get down here. Ultra, Optic, what happens? I think the guys show up on LAN. Let me break down this storyline for you. We'll see it in my notes as I bring it up, and I'll highlight it for you guys right here. Optic's last win was 920 days ago. Their last win was in 2018 at CWL Vegas. This could be the return and the story that they need and the story that they want. And LAN, what a spot to do it. I think maybe they clutch up in the elimination final against Toronto Ultra, but then when you get to the major final, this is FaZe game. They're just too good. 5-3 final there. Atlanta FaZe are your stage 4 major winners again and continue to dominate. Shout out to the Atlanta FaZe for this free controller from Scuff Gaming that I won in a giveaway. You gotta love the Scuff impact, ladies and gentlemen. Atlanta FaZe, I'm crowning them champions of the Stage 4 Major. Let me know what you guys think. Get a bracket going. Send me your predictions. Tell me who you think will be crowned Stage 4 Major champions on LAN. I'm excited for the tournament. It's going to be wild. It's going to be crazy. It will be a nutty environment. It's going to be a wild situation. I can't wait to watch. I can't wait to see everything that happens. No complaints, no excuses. We're back on LAN. Let's get it. Before we take off here, guys, you thought I was ending there? You guys thought I was ending on predictions? We still got so much more to talk about. This is a big episode. It's a major episode. Cut me some slack. You want me to speed up a little bit? I don't think I need to speed up a little bit. This coffee's starting to get to me, though, and I'm speeding up a little bit. Let me tell you. Straight espresso at 3:30 in the afternoon. Yeah, that'll get you. All right, you guys already know what time it is. You know where we're going next. Let's hop into the fantasy portion of the rotation with Z-Hack. Shout out to Draft Buff. They do an incredible job. I have a lot of fun playing on their site. It's going to be a lot of fun doing daily fantasy here in the Draft Royale for the Major. So let's start some things off with some CDL Fantasy standouts. Fantasy standouts from the CDL. A lot of guys had big weeks last week. Let me tell you, plain and simple, there were some guys who had stellar performances, and at the end of it all, the one you have to look at, one of the tiny tears. He's been stellar all season, one of the best in the game. Shout out to Abizi. After Stage 4, Week 3, the kid had 112.9 points. He was the only player to eclipse 100 points over the week. And with him coming through for the Atlanta FaZe, they're in the spot that they are for the Stage 4 Major. And Abizi, I mean, the kid is a CDL Fantasy standout for a reason. Look for him to keep that trend going as we head into the Major. He's been popping off. He's been playing special all season long, but more and more from week to week, he's stepped up for this team, and he looks different on the map every single time he plays. The most recent match for the Atlanta FaZe was against the Minnesota Rocker. He had an incredible series. Dropped a 1.29 KD, 85 and 66 in the 3-1 victory over the Minnesota Rocker. Look for Abizi to continue that kind of play as we head into the Major. In the first round, they'll be getting either the Rocker or Subliners. He will dominate that matchup. Mark my words. He'll drop close to a 1.2 again. For your Draft Royale team, you're obviously going to want to get the kid. He's one of the best in the game, one of the best for fantasy this season. You want him. Another fantasy standout from the end of Stage 4, headed into the Major. You got to talk about him. I love Matty Marshall. No, I'm not talking about Eminem the rapper. I am talking about Scraps. The kid played well. And a lot of you find it surprising because when you think Paris Legion, you don't think you're going to find a good fantasy player on that team. Scraps was the number 2 player on the week behind Abizi. 97.1 points dropped. And if you had him, you were blessed on your roster. I think Paris have the opportunity to make some moves here in the Major, in the losers bracket as well. They get the first round bye. Then they could have some tough matchups though. That's something I want to talk about, guys. When we're picking our fantasy rosters this week, you want to look who guys are going to perform well. But on top of that, you have to pay attention to matchups and what teams are going to make it. Like, get a guy off FaZe or Optic or Toronto because they're going to make a deep run. Don't take everyone from those teams because your tournament could be ruined. And I know it averages what they do, but if there's someone who's going to pop off throughout the entirety, then they're going to have big stats. So look for someone who's going to be a knockout like Scraps, who's a fantasy standout. And apart from that, look of someone who's going to be in it for the longevity of the tournament. The last CDL Fantasy standout from this final week headed into the Major. Got to take someone from Toronto, and it's going to be Cammy. 96 points in fantasy this past week. He's stellar. It was Bance the week before. It's Cammy this week. So who knows? Maybe next week it'll be Insight. This Toronto Ultra roster is really stellar. Cammy looked incredible in all the matches for the Toronto Ultra. And this is a team, they've won a Major. They're comfortable in the environment. LAN will be the question for them. Can they get it done? I don't know, but look for Cammy to be a guy who can get it done. Fantasy standout from last week, and he was part of the demise of the NY Subliners. I don't know why I just pronounced their name like that. The New York Subliners, they got beamed against Toronto. It was a hot 3-0, and Cammy went 68 and 56 for a 1.21 Insight. Also had a great series with a 1.29. It just comes down to what modes they did it in, how they play the OBJ. So look out for a couple of those guys, but Cammy, a big fantasy standout for the guys from the Toronto Ultra. So those guys, look for them to step up, play big as we head into the Major. But away from that, let's go ahead and get into it and talk a little bit of buy, sell. Buy or sell Call of Duty League Fantasy. I'm going to try and pick some realistic spots here and guys who you're going to be kind of tossed up between by looking through matchups, how the teams have a run going, and what you think that they can make happen on the weekend. Quick reminder, if there's a roster change that's been made, hint, hint, Asim, get them out of your lineup, please. Okay? Get him out of your lineup. Don't keep him in there because you're going to be chalked. He is not playing. Okay? They will not be playing. Get Asim out of your lineup. He's out. So buy, sell. Let's get into it. The first player that I want to talk about is Shotzi. The Dallas Empire have a tough road ahead of them which you may be thinking, sell on Shotzi? No. I'm buying on Shotzi from the Dallas Empire. Listen, they're going to be playing extremely inspired, and on LAN, it's going to be a big help for them. They have Optic Chicago in round 1. Then they're probably, based on my bracket, going to get the Paris Legion, and then they're going to face a tethered NYSL team. The Dallas Empire are going to get a lot of matches, and Shotzi is a guy who can play on LAN and will have a big tournament. Look out for Shotzi to play big. I'm buying on the kid. I think he can play extremely well for the Dallas Empire. They're starting to get into a groove. They're feeling more and more comfortable with Vivid, and I think this is a spot that can make something happen. They went the distance against the Florida Mutineers in their previous matchup, and guess who the only player for Dallas was to be in the positive on the KD side of things and deal close to the most damage on his team? It was Shotzi, 87 and 81 in the series. We all know what he can do in the respawns, the movement king. Watch out for him to pop off in the major. I am buying on Shotzi. Start him, put him in your draft royale lineup. He will be big. The next team that I want to take a look at, and it's a guy that you guys might know playing huge lately. It's the Paris Legion, it's Scraps. I think they have a good road for fantasy ahead of them. They start against either the London Royal Ravens or the Seattle Surge, whoever wins that matchup. Two weaker opponents, if you will. So that's a good matchup for them. Then they'll get the Dallas Empire, which I think will be a lot tighter. It'll be tougher. Dallas will probably win. But somebody who plays well in big-time matchups when the spotlight is on, when it's teams that are quite frankly better than his team, it's Scraps. He's one of those guys who just feels like he can win every time around and feels like he is one of the best in the game because he is one of the best in the game. I'm buying on Scraps. If you have the opportunity to start him, you're tossed up between him. I take him 10 times out of 10. We'll do one more buy-sell for you guys of a toss-up that I think you may have throughout the weekend. And I think, oh man, who do we want to choose for this? There's a lot in my inbox right now of what you guys are talking about and what you're thinking. Let's go ahead and buy or sell on Envoy. So you may think, oh, that's a blatant start, it's Optic. Listen, they have a tough road ahead of them. They take on Dallas. If they win that, they take on Toronto. If not, they take on Paris probably. But Scump has been performing out of his mind, and Envoy has been kind of the role guy lately. Late in your draft, though, if you don't have the opportunity to get Scump or you don't put him on your roster or anyone else from Optic, I don't like to stack two guys from a certain team all the time because then you're relying on that team's singular performance, and that can be sketchy. But if Envoy's available, you don't have another member of Optic, and you don't have Scump, take him. Because he stepped into a role player, but the kid is disgusting on land. Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. Call of Duty chat just got to me. The CDL YouTube chat just saying land got to me. LAN! Envoy on LAN is gross. We saw him back in Black Ops 4. Like Gen G, that roster was disgusting with him, Havoc. I think it was Major Maniac and Mox. Those guys were getting it done. Do not sleep on Envoy. I know that Scump has had the better weeks in recent history from the SMG duo there, but look for Envoy to be the in-game leader, the shot caller, and perform well. Those are the buy-sell guys that I'm highlighting for this week, and now I know you all love it when you get down to some low funds out of your 360 that you get for Draft Royale. Who are those sleepers that you can find for cheap, baby? CDL Fantasy Sleepers. I think there's a couple of guys to mention as sleepers for this upcoming week for the major in fantasy. And the first couple that I think I can mention, I'm going to lump them together, come from the LA Thieves. I'm talking Huke and Kenny, because coming back to LAN is absolutely dangerous for what both these guys can do. Kenny not only is a boots on the ground god, but he is a LAN god on top of that. Back in World War II, MVP. I mean, come on. Kenny, disgusting. They play the Gorillas in their first matchup. Kenny will fry against them. Huke has been looking absolutely gross in Search and Destroy, and that's where kills matter, man. Those kills get magnified. The points are worth more. If he can go positive in the respawns, I think it's a big start. I'm also picking guys for sleepers from the LA Thieves because of the longevity, and I think they have a chance to make a losers bracket run. I think they beat LA, and then they'll have a tight series against the Mutineers, and that's going to be a toss-up. LA Thieves either win that 3-2 or lose at 3-2. There's no in between. But then they have a shot to go against Minnesota, so they're going to get a lot of cracks to have performances. And I think that Kenny and Huke are two guys who can get it done. Look out for them. I know they might not be the best value because they're not going to go for cheap, but they're sleepers. The final sleeper that I have here, number 3, comes from the Minnesota Rocker. It's Priesta. In that flex role, I really like what he can do, and I think he'll have the opportunity to achieve on LAN. He has the stage set against a struggling NYSL roster with a team who has had, just a situation that sucks with Asim dropping out, but you're going against Clayster. They'll be inspired. They'll be playing strong and steady Call of Duty, but I think Priesta can make some noise. To fill out one of those final flex roles on your team, they're probably going to go against NYSL. If they drop to the losers bracket, they'll get either Florida or LA Thieves. If they win, they'll go against FaZe. It'll be a tough road, but I think Priest is a guy who can get it done and step up and go big on LAN. I'll get my roster out there. I'll tweet a picture of what I get for a draft royale, but you guys already know what it is. Those are the 3 segments we hit for fantasy. I'm really excited to see what happens throughout the major. Back on LAN, we have no idea who's going to perform. I'm just excited to get back to it because we're going to see guys who come out and shine, and we're going to see some who struggle. So we're back on LAN. That's big for fantasy. Tweet me your lineups. Tell me what you got going on. But before we exit the show, you guys know we have one last thing we always have to do. Who is the best in the game? The best in the game comes from the best team in the game as we head into the Stage 4 Major on LAN. What the guy did in previous weeks throughout all of Stage 4, the best in the game is a Beezy. On the year, a 1.1 KD, 1.07 in hardpoint, a 1.2 in SND, and a 1.1 in control. He's been absolutely frying all season long, but when you look at the stats just in general and the recent success that the kid has had, top of the leaderboard, a 1.19 throughout Stage 4. Only a handful of guys like Skies and Mac and Celium, a guy on his own team, and Simp as well, have been a little bit better, but he's the best in the game because what he brings to the roster. No doubt in my mind that Abizi makes big plays in monumental moments on LAN in this major. I think he pops off. I think he makes a difference for the Atlanta FaZe. That's what we know and love from the kid. He's going to get it done. Watch out for Abizi. He is the best in the game. FaZe is the best in the game headed into the Stage 4 Major. I'm excited for it. You guys are excited for it. Tell me how you're enjoying the Stage 4 Major all week, how you're watching, who you're watching with, what the plans are. I'm excited. You're excited. I know the players are excited. Thanks, everyone, so much for tuning in to episode number 19 of The Rotation with Z-Hack, and we will see you next time. Enjoy the Stage 4 Major. Peace.